And there we go. We're starting with the first game between Tallboy Kuchem and Vikingos Nomaras in their round 7. This is actually the last round of RTS League Season 41. And well, the map is going to be apparently Arena. That's interesting. They were talking about Regicide Fortress, but maybe they just started with TK's home map. Definitely could be. Yep, no rare, because of course, only because of a bugged map. That's only rare. That could be possible in RTS League. And yep. Yeah, okay, so the civilization pick was the problem for them potentially. But yeah, in RTS you can pick whatever civilizations you want. You can pick a triple civilization, double civilization, whatever you want. But you of course need to be quite careful because it isn't usually as easy win as you could be thinking, because basically losing the team bonuses is usually pretty huge, because the team bonuses are really playing quite a big deal in all the games, even though it might not seem so because you might be used to it. It's, well, usually quite hard if you are not really prepared for it all that much. So we are of course going to be looking at double Mayans and Persians for VNs. They are going to be spawning in what way? That is, oh well, they were of course kinda, if you are picking two civilizations, you are kinda hoping that you might be having a good pocket. But much more importantly, you are basically waiting for one of those double civilizations to be on the flank. And this could be basically telling us that they're gonna be slinging. Yeah, the pocket player probably right now Dark Knight is gonna be slinging into Heimdall, I would be expecting. And of course the Mayan then is gonna be attempting through the sling to overpower his opponent. That is right about now going to be red player True Nerevar, who is gonna be playing as a Teuton. Well, not really ideal in here for him. And otherwise Huns and Spanish, kinda weird civilizations. Kinda weird civilizations for Arena, to be honest. Definitely would have expected something different. The only normal. The Teutons and Spanish are kinda okay. The Huns are kinda out of there. They don't really have all that much of a place on Arena. They are not really bad all that much, but it's not really civilization that you would be using all that much here. So let's see how actually TKs are gonna be dealing with the situation, especially considering that this is quite probably actually a map of their own. Alright, so let's have a look, for example, at the starting positions of the players in here. This is gonna be TK Fred, who is spawning actually in the middle, who is gonna be basically the pocket player for the team as a Spanish, kinda okay. He's having stone and gold quite nicely positioned, not really any kind of issue for him, as he's also having the deer quite nicely inside his base, so he just needs to delete the walls, and he's gonna be reasonably fine to put them right under the TC. Doesn't have to delete the walls all the way outside of the base, even though looking at the boar in there, he probably still will, as he will want to lure the second boar, most definitely. The second one is inside, so yep, this is just gonna be what he will have to do a bit later. Otherwise, though, he's having quite nice extra gold right inside his base, so definitely nice for him to see. And of course, it's gonna be making his game quite nicely comfortable, as a bit wolfies between him and his teammate Dark Morpheus, who is gonna be playing at the top as a Spanish player. Oh, yeah, I just looked around. The civilization is a bit wrong. Of course, the Hun is in the pocket in there. And TK Fred, that was the player that I was looking at. And otherwise, he's quite interestingly spawned right next to, of course, Mio. This is definitely not gonna be all that great for him, but considering that Mio is not going to be the one who is gonna be slung, it's probably not gonna be that problematic. Even though looking at this, they might just be changing the strategy in there, because this is actually potentially quite a big advantage if you are gonna be slung. Well, let's see if that's gonna be happening or not, because so far, looking how actually VNs shows the civilizations and whatnot, I would be really expecting that they're gonna be slinging into Heimdall at the bottom, and he is gonna be the way to victory in this game for Vikingos Nomaras, the champions of season 39. So, 2 seasons ago, not really that far into the past. They definitely are proving the skill in this season, as well as I think they are having just one loss so far. They are really playing very well, as we're looking into Yellow's base, who is having quite nicely positioned stone. The extra gold is also gonna be helpful, and the main gold is kinda alright as well, even though yet again it's quite close by to actually the enemy base, so not really that easy, but still it's much better than basically being plastered right next to the front wall, which is what usually happens on Arena, or rather often happens on Arena. Otherwise, of course, we're looking also at the stone mine for right now Mio, as he's gonna be switching, for example, into the other team, into VNs. This is gonna be potentially a bit of an issue, because he will want to somehow secure it for his team, but otherwise he's a Persian, so it's not like he needs the castles. He's probably gonna be coming for paladins rather than any kind of war elephants or whatnot, so yep, the castle's not much of an issue for him, so he doesn't really need the stone. What he does need is the gold. It seems like that basically all the players so far have been having a second gold mine behind their base. That's definitely nice for all of them. I'm gonna be quite happy about that, and the back gold is also gonna be quite useful. So far, base is really kinda okay, as there was already deleted wall, and apparently it's gonna be because of pushing of the deer, which might be just some kind of basic... Oh! Well, did you see both of them? That was a nice bonus. Definitely didn't plan for that at all. But to finish my thought, this is gonna be quite a nice bonus, of course, in the early game, as on Arena, you just kinda bored in the early game until we get into the Castle Ages, and much more importantly, in the early Imperial Ages, as basically up until then, it's all about the booming. Okay, there's gonna be, well, actually a lot of gold between him and his teammate Dark Knight in the pocket. That could be kind of worthwhile to maybe wall up from about this little forest. Maybe even take it all the way to this wall. Wouldn't be all that bad, because these gold mines are quite numerous. And maybe placing just a few TCs in here could be definitely useful. And I'm kind of expecting that maybe either Dark Knight or Mio might be wanting to do that, because yeah, it could be really quite a nice investment as far as some kind of longer game goes. So pushing off the deer, getting the loot bar right under the TC as we are heading into about 7 minutes. So you could be already looking at the amount of villages. We are so far getting at the 20, and we definitely need about 27 plus, maybe around 30 for some, before we are gonna be advancing into the feudal ages, and of course that will be kinda deciding what kind of strategies the teams are gonna be coming for. Well, at the top, of course, we yet again seen safe gold and safe stone at this time. So really, it seems like some kind of theme for this spawn of the map. Definitely all the players are gonna be happy with that, as the second stone mine in the front, not really all that much of a problem, but as a Mayan he could be using that, and much more importantly as a most probably slinging Mayan. He is gonna be finding quite a lot of use for that to send to his allies. Well, next to him and his teammate on the other side, there is gonna be Heimdall, just a little gold mine, nothing really all that major. A few wolfies and apparently, yeah, deleted wall, so he's also trying to push a few deer right through the hole, hoping that it's gonna be, well, enough, and rather that he's gonna be in time exactly as the things are unfolding. Well, it's gonna be a bit tricky because he's already running out of sheep, so he definitely needs to hurry up. Not really listening as she should be. Well, come on. Oh, oh no, and she's screwed. Yeah, she's gonna be running absolutely everywhere. But through the gate, maybe? Not entirely certain. It almost seems like that he actually locked the gate. Ah, she's through. And he needs to right now push back, and yeah, it seems like that he might be just in time, as he's finishing, of course, with one of the deers at the top. Players right now switching into feudal ages at interesting amount of villages, 26, 24, 24, and 23. So you can see that the Prussian is going with the least amount of villages. And he's of course advancing as the fastest, so not really all that much of a difference in that. But interestingly enough, both Dark Knight and Heimdall are actually right now still not advancing. They are increasing the number of villages in there quite significantly, so let's see what's gonna happen in there. But the faster advancing Mio, interesting, really interesting. It's really looking like that he's gonna be the one slinging actually. Because advancing this fast into the feudal age, well, not really sure what it could be the plan besides actually trying to sling into the allies and help them propel themselves into a bit useful imperial age, especially since they're both going for quite strong economy for themselves. You can see that even purple is gonna be just now clicking in, as we're gonna be looking into a second row of force actually for Heimdall. So is it gonna be maybe the opposite way than what I was just saying? Maybe. Maybe it could be, because already working on such a second row of walls in here, this is definitely suspicious. Definitely suspicious indeed. As at the top side, we don't see any kind of second row of walls going to be happening all that much. You can see market from the Persian. Is there gonna be following a blacksmith or not? Because if not, then he's gonna be kinda giving up that he's gonna be slinging. So let's see about that. Apparently it's gonna be coming for a farm. Yep. For a farm. Villager at the top is gonna be coming for the houses. So this is definitely looking like coinage. Yep, Mio is gonna be slinging. Alright, so it's the Prussian who's gonna be slinging. He definitely needs to work on his walling quite significantly, and it's probably really gonna be resulting into something that we expected. That Heimdall is gonna be the one slung, and he is gonna be quite a big danger to, of course, his opponents. Otherwise, inside is base safe stone, definitely nice bonus for a Mayan. As on the left side, he's giving a bit of the gold in there, even though it's kind of poverish right about now, as most of the players, rather, as the most of all the players that we have seen so far, it's still not really that bad, as it could be reasonably protected by TC, or maybe just dropping a castle about there. But I don't really think he's gonna be wanting to drop a castle there. He's probably gonna be trying to castle drop his opponent, because True Nerevar is the only player who is having the Sakib gold mine right next to the wall. So he definitely is gonna be abusable in that way. Stone is kinda alright-ish beside his base. Unfortunately for him, no extra second gold. So unfortunately for him, it's looking quite dire for True Nerebar, and it's really looking like the dropping a castle on him is gonna be quite effective. So let's switch into Heimdall, if he is aware of that. So far he isn't. So he just basically knows that he's against threat, as castle ages are hitting, and well, it seems that that is so far going to be it, as you're gonna be waiting for the sling to actually come into full strength. So far it's just Mio, and into Dark Knight. Why? Why would you be actually slinging into Pocket Player? What kind of sense does that make? Huh. Well, at any rate, it's apparently gonna be a sling into him, as he's gonna be basically joining Mio into his pocket, rather into his position from the pocket position, and probably gonna be trying some kind of castle drop, exactly like Darth Mortios is doing now, and in that case, of course, he's gonna be quite too late. Quite too late indeed, so this is gonna be of course quite significant help for the yellow player to survive in there, as at the bottom it of course means that Heimdall is gonna be basically on his own against the red player, which still could be quite a nice battle, as overall the levels is definitely in favor of VNs, as they are all three 2k players plus, without any kind of question for them, especially as far as Mio goes, who is basically quite a known expert. As for the opponents, for Tolpoi Kuchem, it's gonna be a level of about 1700 to 1750, all the players in here, so still quite competent, but yeah, there is still about 200 difference in the points at least, so VNs should be the favorites, but let's not underestimate them, because if the opponent, if TKs pick up on the sling fast enough, and they're gonna be slinging themselves, then of course they're still gonna be quite effective in the game, but so far it doesn't seem so. You can see full sling from VNs, as they are just slinging still, as we have seen a bit before. Apparently Fred is gonna be joining to the top as well, as we are also looking at the bottom, where even the Scout Cavalry is just now killing one of the Eagle Warriors. Apparently I'm thinking from Heimdall, it seems like, where he was flaring there, so yeah, definitely had to be him, as he's moving with the villagers somewhere to the top, which probably is gonna be top of the castle, and then he's of course gonna be also trying to abuse his opponent and keep him busy. In the meantime, the Teuton has been dropping the Siege Workshop and of course the Double Monastery. So this is actually gonna be quite an interesting surprise, because they maybe thought TKs that of course the sling, as I kinda said at the start, is gonna be coming through the middle and through the bottom. But apparently that's not really the case, it's gonna be coming through the top, and of course even though Yellow has already breached through the walls that are right next to each other, he's unfortunately already discovering the Green Castle, and he's gonna be discovering even Imperial Age in there quite soon from the Dark Knight. So yeah, this is definitely not all that ideal for TKs, but they are quite nicely aggressive. Maybe though they could be just giving up on the castle and go for a few villages here and there, as that might be just a bit more efficient. In the meantime, of course, they are given all the time in the world to actually finish with the secondary wall in there for the NBO. So that was actually quite a big mistake by TKs. Well, unfortunately, not really gonna be taking the castle down in time, I'm kinda thinking. But still, well, the villages are hidden in there, not really doing anything significant, and they cannot really repair all that much. Because of course, the wall is there from Mio, and that means that maybe, just maybe, they're gonna be able to actually take down the castle in a reasonable time, and it really seems like that it's gonna be working, as apparently Yellow is paying enough attention, just killing everything that is coming out of it, and this is actually, as opposed to what I was thinking, not half bad. Not half bad, and seems to be really well played by Tolpoi Kuchem. They're gonna be having just a few archers to deal with, but otherwise all those sieges are just gonna be quite fine, and you must stress that the green is slung, but there is absolutely no sling going on in DK's team, and still they are in the strong double, actually right now able to deal with the situation, and much more importantly, they're right now basically pushing through the walls, and they're gonna be able to get into the slinging player's economy, and that is always a huge threat indeed. So just maybe, quite maybe, they're gonna be in deep trouble. In quite deep trouble right now, VNs in their house. Looking at the bottom, nothing really all that much happening. Just apparently Red also advancing ever forward. It seems like that Orange so far not really all that active, as apparently he's sending all units to the top, as it seems that they have recognized that the battle at the top is definitely in quite bad shape, and considering that of course the castle has to be rebuilt somewhere in a bit safer position, right in the middle of all of those golds. Yes, they're gonna be quite useful indeed. Quite useful indeed in there. We mustn't forget that even Mio is right now recognizing this is not really going according to plan, and he is escaping with plenty of villages in there, and hoping that he can be surviving in a bit more safer situation than he's in right about now. So that's gonna be goodbye all the economy. This is actually quite a big blow to VN's plan, because this is about, I don't know, 15 farms, or how much, or rather how many, that is actually gonna be quite significantly missing. And not only the idle time for all the villages of Mio, but much more importantly the resources for all of this. That's a lot of wood. That's quite a lot of wood. That's about 1,000 wood. And that's not something that you find just somewhere lying. That's, especially at this stage, that's gonna be significantly missing, and the job is gonna be very hard for Dark Knight to somehow actually deal with the situation, especially because the sling is gonna be quite significantly slowed right about now. So, on the top side, rather on the bottom side, the other way, we're looking, of course, at Red slowly but surely pushing forward, still having just some priests and Mangonel, which is kinda weird combination considering that he's gonna be playing against a Mayan. He could be definitely expecting second castle coming up, and with all the archers, where are they actually coming? Are they coming for assistance at the top or not? They were moving somewhere to the right. Ah, here they are. Yeah, they're kinda hard to see actually on those patches of sand. They are also orange, so basically the same color in there. But they are trying to raid something. So far not really effective at all, but as we said a bit before, this gold is definitely a huge problem for the red player, and he somehow needs to secure the second one as well. Because if he cannot get either one, then, well, yeah, that's gonna be kinda hard. Kinda hard indeed. As apparently we're gonna be looking at the Teuton castle drop in his opponent, because he is just now advancing into Imperial Age. And is it through some extra sling? No, no, no. No, no, and Mio sling just about now, just only 4,000 resources. Not really great, as we're waiting for some good Mangonel hits, but apparently they're not coming, as Heimdall is on top of his micro game. And still though, not even killing the Mangonel, really. Well, that was kinda weird. He didn't really achieve all that much, just killed a few priests, which is still about 300 gold, so not really that bad. But let's go back to the base at the top, where it seems like the Dark Knight finally does have some kind of significant army for himself, and is even trying to get rid of all of those veteran rams. But looking at all those horses, oh man, that's gonna be a significant issue, especially with Iron Casting and Bloodlines coming up. And of course, you could be probably expecting that TK Fred might be heading into Imperial Age in some reasonable time. So far, really not. But he's definitely thinking about it, I'm thinking. And, well, I need to apparently clean some mess in the chat in there. And we're gonna be still continuing with the streaming in here, as the army is getting quite nicely bigger. But a bit of a problem is that, of course, TKs are having just one of the Mangonels. Not really much more, so potentially there could be some kind of easy way for Dark Knight to deal with that. That should be basically just a one shot, and it's gonna be it. But with the castle right now, right next to Heimdall, and with the horses switching into his base, well, just send them in, I kinda guess. Why not? You're already through in here. You could definitely be doing quite significant damage to Orange's economy, because right about now, TKs are definitely in pretty great position, but they of course need to be still careful about the quite strongest slang, Dark Knight, who is still doing what he can to keep his team afloat, but oh, apparently, Dark Mortius is gonna be slinging into Fred. Interesting. So they kinda need to, or rather want to do, what I was kinda thinking about, and that's actually switching him into Imperial Age and into Cavaliers and Paladins. Definitely makes plenty of sense. Definitely does. As for, of course, the Han, he doesn't have all that much extra uses, or rather all that many extra uses on Arena, than basically going for the full horses, and that's exactly what they're hoping for, and that was a nice hit. Nice hit indeed, but with all the plume touches right now getting up in numbers quite significantly so. Then, well, it might be just getting a bit too hard right about now for, of course, TKs, because they don't have all that much of anything right now. All that much of anything, because this is basically just the castle that is gonna get deleted by the trebuchets in there. And with the Mangonel right now gone, it should be fairly easy fight for, of course, especially Dark Knight, who is getting up in all the upgrades in there. And of course, the Plumed Archer also from Heimdall, not really being bad in that. It seems quite promising for them. So far though, Heimdall is still missing the Imperial Age, so definitely a bit of a problem for him, but the castle is gone. With those, well, they have already killed the castle that has been standing there from Heimdall, so not really... it's not like they haven't done any kind of damage, but still, it's gonna be fairly easy for them to even withstand a few hits from the Mangonel, because they are just having the numbers in there, and they're gonna get rid of the problem at the bottom. In the meantime though, they need to be careful about the middle, because of course Imperial Age is already coming for Fred. And Fred is of course gonna be, well, quite a big threat with all the horses. That's gonna be needing quite significant switch. from one of the Mayans, at least one of them, into halberdiers, so that they can deal with that. As Mio, of course, is not gonna be all that present, he's still gonna be continuing with the slinging, and that means that he won't be able to supply the horses that you will be expecting from a Persian player otherwise. Well, okay, so Horsey is just basically gonna be waiting for something better. Elite Pluntage is coming up for Dark Knight, as he is apparently moving back up. And already with some trebuchets, so it seems that actually this castle is gonna be coming down, and TKs are gonna be yet again under pressure in here. Rather, yet again, basically for the first time, they haven't been under pressure yet. So, yeah, this is gonna be the first time they're gonna be under some kind of significant problem, and they will have to deal with that. And it's gonna be all about basically the sling into Fred. And if Fred can still produce some kind of reasonable assistance, then it could be working well for them still. But otherwise, yeah, the Mayans seem to be quite well prepared, and it's gonna be probably quite hard to actually deal with for them. Yeah, this is definitely nicely played by Dark Knight, because he has realized that since the opponent has advanced into Imperial Age, he is gonna be switching into the horses and adding into the Cavaliers very soon. So he needs to kill the horses before they get all the upgrades. And, well, that's the reason why he went in. But of course, quite nice hits in there by the Mangorel. And, of course, Yellow needs to be still careful and needs to time it quite properly with Fred. In the meantime, at the bottom, it seems like that Red has been cleaned fully. And where is actually Orange going to be going? Apparently, he's already through. He has made it through the walls in there, quite significantly so, because there was, a huge mistake by Narevar, who actually deleted the walls, hoping that he's gonna be able to finish the TC to protect the goal, but he wasn't. Oh man. Oh man. Well, that's a huge problem. That's definitely a significantly huge problem for him. He has basically led his opponent inside his base, and he's not gonna be able to sling anymore, and oh well. This should be fairly easy right about now for Heimdall from this point, because of course Red is not ready for that at all. So yet again, it's gonna be up to Fred if he can somehow secure the game for his teammates. Because of course right now it's significantly up to him. Paladins are not coming up yet. Heimdall coming into Imperial Age though. So he's gonna be inching into victory at the bottom. But we see that Green has lost all the siege. You can see 5 trebuchets just dead. In one row, well, that's kinda neat. With the cavalry still being very much present, and the number of elite roomed archers definitely dwindling, as they finally found some kind of good spot for them, but yeah, still, they're gonna be dying. They're not gonna be surviving any longer. In the meantime, Darth Mortius also sending resources to Fred. So let's see how that's gonna be working for them, because even though Teal is right now switching to the bottom, it still might not be really enough, as the plumed archers from Heimdall are there, but where are actually the reinforcements from Green? Not really that much present, to be honest. Would be expecting a whole lot more from them, but oh, they are. There they are. They are actually waiting for a bit better situation in here, and that's gonna be a whole lot better situation very soon, because they are almost fully upgraded. You can see they are just missing basically the last armor for them. And they are already switching into the halberdiers, so definitely makes plenty of sense, but he needs a bit more resources so that he can actually properly upgrade into that. In the meantime, of course, purple, or rather orange, is gonna be not finishing the castle, which is a bit of a shame for him, and he's of course losing plenty of the army inside Red's base, as he's finding himself in a position that he shouldn't be in. He shouldn't have been in at all, and even though he's gonna kill a few villagers here and there, yeah, the horses are gonna be absolutely slaughtering him, together with a few shots from the Magnonel as well. So, really well played by TK so far in the defense, and even though we ends do have overall the advantage, they are really struggling quite significantly, and apparently there's gonna be a significant switch for Heimdall as well, and the switch is gonna be into maybe some kind of Eagle Warriors, not entirely certain. Let's switch into Heimdall. What's going to be the plan? Conscription, of course, as Paladins are being researched. And is he already clicking into something? Ah, Spearman. Apparently Halberdiers number 2. So double helps with some plumed archers. That's gonna be apparently the army composition for BNs, and that really could be working, because of course the biggest threat that so far they are facing are most definitely the horses from the Teal player. But once they can get rid of them in some kind of efficient manner, which is exactly gonna be right about now, yeah, well, it's gonna be definitely heading just one way from there. In the meantime, let's look at Yellow, who is rebuilding quite alright. He has already plugged the hole inside the wall and is apparently trying to push through into Mio yet again. As in the meantime, the economy is yet again growing for him. So he's gonna be kind of preparing himself to even help Fred a bit more in there, as he's even moving into archer range. So that's almost looking like some kind of cavalry archers, maybe? Or maybe it's just some normal skirmishers, because he's probably missing resources I would be expecting at this stage. Fred, yeah, he's kinda missing resources, so he might be really thinking about supplying something else in there as well. As Red is apparently breaching through the walls, but with all the houses in there, it's not really that much of an issue, so Heimdall is not under any kind of reasonable or serious threat right about now. In the meantime, well, Paladins are in pretty scary numbers there, as Green is also switching into the top side. So apparently it's gonna be Orange just on his own, but with already having the pikeman research done and producing them basically full time, it should be more or less fine to at least slow the opponent down, but still the numbers were quite big. Quite big indeed, so this is still quite a force to be reckoned with. Still not really fully upgraded. You can see that he's missing the last actually upgrade into the attack, but still it's gonna be pretty strong against this small little army that Heimdall is having. In the meantime, let's switch to the top, because of course there's not gonna be any kind of defense. Yeah, right now Yellow is just basically slinging and having echo and not anything else, so he basically is gonna be fully relying on his teammate to help him, which is right now exactly gonna be happening as he's switching from the bottom to the top, which is gonna be opening the opportunity for Orange to push forward, yeah, stop the economy of Red, and somehow possibly even push into his base in there. In the meantime, let's for example check how's it looking with the economy. So villagers 55, 72 and 104 for VNs, for the opponents 91, 70 and 63. So overall the economies are kinda similar, more or less equal. Not really any kind of advantage for either team and either clan. And well, it's gonna be quite an interesting fight right about now. Quite a lot about micro. But the plumed archers with the halberdiers possibly could win. Possibly could win. But at the same time the horses are in decent enough numbers, so really, if this is gonna be resulting into this not really great battle, when you are basically dividing the army, yeah, this is not gonna work, because of course right now the paladins will have free hands together with the skirmishers to deal with the halberdiers, and then they're just gonna be attacking all of those archers, and well, that's quite a counter army of 2 archers. Horses fully upgraded, with of course some skirmishers also fully upgraded. Well, that's gonna be of course hard to deal with, even with the numbers that you are so far having in there. So, this battle though seems to be more or less not going anywhere, even though the economy is already kinda in tatters for Dark Mortius, unfortunately, yet again. As at the bottom we are looking at Orange pushing forward. He has already killed the TC on the left, and he is definitely denying quite significant economy. And much more importantly, he is significantly denying gold. And that's of course the downfall of any kind of gameplay, especially in the late game. As the horses and the skirmishers are moving still forward at the top, trying to basically somehow stop Green, who is trying to find yet again some kind of nice choke point. Was almost there, but there are gonna be some kind of better ones, like for example at the top, it will keep all the horses busy at this point on the map, which is of course gonna be leaving the door open for right now the halberdiers with the plumed archers at the bottom side against Red. Yeah, it should be pretty hard right about now for actually Teal to fight on both flanks, because yeah, at this point the situation is really kinda getting out of hand for Tolkoi Kuchum in here. Not really looking all that great for them at all at this point. At this point, not really. So of course the plumed archers at the top, they have found basically the place where they cannot escape anymore. So they are making the last stand, and it's actually not going all that bad for them. You can see that they are killing the horses quite competently, and even though they are gonna be mostly giving up their lives in the process as well, it's still the best result they could have hoped for. Definitely better than just getting slaughtered on the free grounds somewhere in the middle. So another army coming forward for VNs. That's gonna be for Dark Knight. Yet again, try to keep Fred busy with most of the army at the top. With all the skirmishes in there, this is definitely not great. And not great for Green, and they could be kind of thinking, or rather they should be, in my opinion, thinking about actually advancing Mio and finally getting the horses of their own, because so far they're not really doing well at all. And maybe, just maybe, there could be even some kind of introduction of Eagle Warriors, as they will be definitely great against all those skirmishers, and they wouldn't be half bad against all those paladins either. So kinda would be expecting that would be a pretty good unit to actually switch into and make for Vikingos Nomadas. In the meantime, this castle is of course supremely important that it has been made, or rather made, in the middle of the enemy base, and with all the trebuchets being made out of it. Yeah, it's basically kinda leveling the army leveling the base and all the extra potential capabilities of the red player to help his team, and you can see the villagers that are dying in such huge numbers. Being dropped to about 35 villagers, half of them idle, so red is more or less dead, he's more or less out of the game, and even though, of course, orange is doing what he can to finish him, teal is doing the same in trying to save his teammate, but so far it's kinda so-so. So he's at least keeping him alive, but I cannot really say right now that red will be a really useful part of the game. And it's really looking like that actually they're gonna be giving up, at least green is gonna be giving up on trying to kill the yellow player. They're just basically all gonna be concentrated in the middle and at the bottom, both Dark Knight and Heimdall, which doesn't seem like such a bad idea. Because, let's not forget, they're basically dealing with only one opponent. They're dealing with only with Fred. Only with Fred right about now. And if they can basically join the forces, it's gonna be two strong players against one. And then, that should be fairly easy to win, even against direct counter units to all of these archers. Yeah, we are right now advancing into Castle Age, that's exactly what we said, that he should be coming for the horses himself, and it definitely makes plenty of sense at this point. The economies for his allies, for Dark Knight, kinda weak, 55, that's not really good enough. For Heimdall, he definitely can stand on his own, but I'm kinda fairly worried about Dark Knight, because he probably cannot. With such a weak economy in late game Imperial Age, yeah, that's not gonna be working. But we mustn't forget that Heimdall is also coming for plate mail armor, and that means that he's making all of his barriers quite a lot more efficient. And that is of course gonna be helping him in the battles, trying to curfew somehow Fred and claim the victory in the game finally. So of course the base of Red is more or less in power of Orange. He basically can send any kind of amount of archers inside and kill the rest of the villages in there as he's moving inevitably forward. And since Green is moving forward as well, it seems that Fred is basically getting trapped in between both of these armies, and he just doesn't have enough pool to actually get through them, because this is just a critical number of all the plumed archers from the Mayans, and that means that, yeah, the horses just cannot be made fast enough and in good enough numbers to actually deal with all the extra damage and all the efficiency that is coming with being an archer. So this is looking quite promising right about now by Ian's, definitely pretty good push, and it seems very hard right now to fathom how actually TKs could be coming out of this, because you can see that Fred is moving backwards all the time, just basically losing ground, and looking really quite promising for the two Mayan players, and yet this is why the GGs are going to be called, and after very good battle, TKs are gonna be calling it a game, and VNs are gonna be claiming the first game as their own. But, has to be said, TK is definitely very nice opposition. Even though they have recognized the sling quite soon, they did kill the very first castle of Dark Knight, slow him down so significantly. Well, in the end, VNs did prevail, but they had it very hard indeed, much harder than they expected, I'm fairly certain. And TK's nicely played, quite nicely played, and I'm definitely curious how the second game will go, which should be hopefully on Regicide Fortress, or hopefully, from what I've seen. So let's wait for that. In the meantime, let's check the post game where Dark Knight and Fred. Well, Dark Knight was slung. Fred, I'm gonna be giving it to basically all TKs. They played really well, and Fred definitely did what he could to save his teammates. Fortunately, in the long run, it just wasn't enough in there. Well, yeah, you can see nice units killed, nice units lost. Fortunately, it was just one player, basically against two, even though he was of course slung, it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. But still very well played. It was a very nice engaging game. GG.